Hello everyone, in this video I will be showing you what I believe to be the best method to farm and unlock any character in the game. It's easy, it's fast, and it becomes more and more efficient the more you advance in the game and unlock certain characters. This method is especially recommended for newer players that haven't gotten the chance to unlock a lot of characters yet, because I will also be showing you an ideal route for which characters to unlock in what order in order to maximize the efficiency of this method. I will not be covering Bunny or Freyna, as they are both unlocked naturally through story progression, so you should already have them unlocked or be close to unlocking them. If you don't, you should do that first and then come back to this video. Also, ideally, you should have already finished the story before starting this out, because you will have all the available locations for farming character materials, which is pretty important. As you may already know, the location of each material needed to research any character can be found under the Access Info tab, which you can bring up by pressing the button that opens the map. This tab literally tells you the location of any material in the game, so it's very important to learn to make use of it whenever you're hunting for something, including character materials. If you select the Descendant tile under this tab, you will see a list of all available Descendants in the game. Selecting any of them will show you the materials required to research that respective Descendant. Every Descendant, with a few exceptions, requires 4 materials, out of which 3 can be researched and 1 is looted directly. These are called intermediate products. 3 of them can be researched, and the last one is the Descendant code, which is obtained directly as a drop. The 3 intermediate products that need to be researched require 4 materials each, out of which 1 is a blueprint and the rest are normal and rare materials. There are 4 characters for which this rule doesn't apply, and all of their intermediate products can be acquired directly as loot drops. These are Bunny, Freyna, Sharon and Blair. The normal and rare materials are generally easy to farm, but the blueprints are the time-consuming part because they have low drop chances and can be only found in very few specific locations. However, by using the method I will be showcasing in this video, you will maximize the efficiency with which you can farm these materials and blueprints, while also keeping it easy and fast. The first character you should unlock when starting this out is Sharon. If you already have her unlocked, feel free to skip to the next chapter of the video. The reason you want to unlock Sharon as soon as possible, ideally after Bunny and Freyna, is because she is easy to unlock and she has a stealth ability which will provide great utility when farming blueprints for intermediate products. We'll get into this a bit later into the video. In order to unlock Sharon, go to the Access Info tab, select Descendant and select her character from the list. Highlight all of her 4 materials and press the Acquisition Info button to see where they can be found. You can then select any of the locations in the list and it will point you directly to it on the map. Complete those indicated missions until you get all of Sharon's 4 parts. This shouldn't take more than a couple of hours if you do it with a random group of players. After you're done, go to Anais in Albion and start research on Sharon, which will take 16 hours. While you're waiting, you should now go and repeat the same steps for Blair, which is also pretty easy to farm in a couple of hours or less. Even if you might not like or want to use Blair, it is important to have at least 1 Descendant for each element: non-attribute, chill, fire, toxic and electric. We'll go more into detail about that later. You can skip unlocking Blair if you selected Lepic as your starting Descendant or if you already have him unlocked. After you're done researching Sharon and Blair, you should ideally move on to Enzo. The reason for this is because he's the only Descendant that can open certain encrypted vaults, and he makes opening precise and ultra precise vaults much easier. Opening vaults is one of the best ways to get certain materials for certain Descendants like Glay and Jaber. If you go to Enzo's page in the Access Info tab, you can see that he requires 3 blueprints, a lot of materials and an Enzo code in order to be able to research him. Let's go through all of them and see what the ideal route would be to unlock him as fast as possible. Starting with the blueprint for Enzo Enhanced Cell, if we select Acquisition Info, we can see that it can be found in 4 locations. 3 of them are intercept battles, which we absolutely want to avoid as much as possible. The reason for this is because some of them are pretty hard to do solo, depending on how strong your build is, and on top of that, they generally have lower acquisition chances for the character material than the other locations. You always want to farm locations that have a drop chance of more than 30% for the material you're looking for. For this method, we are only focusing on Void Fusion Reactor locations. These are very easy to complete, and obtaining the amorphous material for them is very easy and much faster than for the Void Intercept missions. They also usually have very high acquisition chances for the blueprints. Ideally, you want to focus on Void Fusion Reactors on normal difficulty because the bosses can be pretty tough and it's much harder to do it solo on hard difficulty. Looking through the list for Enzo Enhanced Cell's blueprint, we can see one of the locations is a normal difficulty Void Fusion Reactor in Agna Desert, which is exactly what we want. Selecting it will show us the required amorphous material for this reactor, which is pattern 28, and it also shows where it can be acquired. Generally, the zone where the reactor is located is also the zone where you can obtain the amorphous material in. For pattern 28, we can obtain it in Agna Desert, Mirage Stone Strategic Outpost. Selecting it will lead us to the location of the mission on the map. Highlighting the mission will confirm that the amorphous material you need can be acquired from completing the mission, and it will also tell you the drop chance, which in this case is 20%. Make sure you change your session to private from the top left corner before loading into the map to avoid other people completing the mission before you get there. Teleport to the nearest outpost or safe zone and then open the map again. You may notice a timer on the strategic outpost, which usually starts at 5 minutes and counts down to 0. That indicates the time you have to wait until the mission becomes available. However, there is a way we can bypass this waiting time in order to maximize our farming efficiency. If you want to bypass the timer, all you have to do is open the map and teleport to any outpost or safe zone, which is in a different zone than the current zone you're in order to trigger a loading screen which will cause you to basically change to a different server. Then teleport back to the zone where the strategic outpost is in and open the map to check if the timer is gone or if it's very low. Repeat these steps until you get a very low or non-existent timer. I suggest aiming for anything that's 30 seconds or less. Once you get the timer you wanted, go to the location of the outpost and start the mission. There are two ways to complete this mission. Either destroy all power units and then kill the elite enemy that spawns, or neutralize the power units and kill the elite enemy that spawns. There is one key difference between these two approaches. If you manage to infiltrate the strategic outpost without being spotted by enemies and neutralize all the power units, you get additional rewards which are listed when highlighting the mission on the map. These rewards will sometimes include the amorphous material that you're aiming to farm with a 5 to 20% acquisition chance. This is a separate drop from the other amorphous material that you get from completing the mission in any way, which drastically speeds up the farming for these materials, because you can get sometimes two of them at the same time. The only character that can complete these strategic outpost missions without being spotted and guaranteeing you the extra material drop is, you guessed it, Sharen, which is why I was recommending you to unlock her first. Once you get her, just make sure to get her to level 24 plus in order to level her camouflage skill to level 4 and then equip her with one fully upgraded skill duration mod to make the camouflage last enough time to allow you to complete any strategic outpost mission without being spotted and get the extra rewards. In case your camouflage duration is not long enough to complete some outposts in one try, like the ones with 4 power units, you can neutralize 2 of them, then go hide behind the wall until your camouflage skill comes back up and go back in to neutralize the other 2. Now, once you acquire the amorphous material needed for the blueprint, you need to open it from the corresponding reconstructing device. To find out where the corresponding reconstructing device can be found, you need to press the menu button, go to the consumable tab, select amorphous material on the left side and find the amorphous material you need. While highlighting it, press the linked reconstruction device info button, which will show you the Void Fusion Reactor where you can open this material. The next step is to open the map, find that Void Fusion Reactor and highlight it. These reactors require Void Shards of certain types in order to be activated, which will be indicated in the reactor tooltip. Now let's talk about Void Shards and the most efficient way to farm them. Void Shards can only be obtained from Void Fragment missions and they are of 4 types: monomer, polymer, inorganic and organic. You can see what type of Void Shards a Void Fragment will give you by highlighting it on the map and checking the rewards list. You can also see that every Void Fragment has a skill attribute displayed on it and it says destructible only by skill next to it. This means that you can only start the Void Fragment mission by damaging the fragment with the indicated ability attribute. If you're wondering what attribute the skills of your Descendant have, you can see that info by going to the inventory tab and highlighting this little attribute icon. Certain attributes can farm certain Void Shards much easier than others, which is why you should try to unlock one Descendant for each of the 5 attributes: non-attribute, chill, electric, toxic and fire. This is another reason why you should unlock at least one character of every attribute to be able to use this method more efficiently. For monomer Void Shards, the best element is electric, and you can get the highest number of these from the Void Fragment located in Agna Desert mining site. For polymer Void Shards, the best elements are either fire or chill, and you can get the highest number of these either from the Vespers Last Supply Depot Void Fragment or the White Knight Gulch Observatory Void Fragment. I recommend the one in Vespers because enemies are much easier to defeat. For inorganic Void Shards, the best element is toxic, and you can get the highest number of these from the Void Fragment located in Echo Swamp Derelict Covert. For organic Void Shards, the best element is fire, and you can get the highest number of these from the Void Fragment located in Echo Swamp Muskeg Swamp. Keep in mind that the number of Void Shards you get from a Void fragment vastly differ between normal and hard difficulty. You can usually get 4 Void Shards on normal difficulty, while on hard difficulty you can get 13 to 14. If you can handle hard difficulty, then it's best to farm Void Shards there, otherwise it's perfectly fine to farm them on normal difficulty. On average, depending on the map the Void fragment is in, you should be able to complete the mission in around 2 minutes or less, which means that depending on the difficulty you're farming on, it can take between 1 and 4 mission clears to get enough of both Void Shard types to activate one Void Reactor. Keep in mind that all reactors require 2 types of Void Shards, usually between 11 and 13 for the main one, and between 2 and 4 for the other one, on normal difficulty. On hard difficulty, these numbers are almost triple. You shouldn't need to farm hard difficulty reactors too often using this farming method. Once you've obtained all the necessary Void Shards to activate the Void Reactor you need to reshape your amorphous material, go to the reactor, activate it and kill the boss, which will spawn the reshaping device where you can reshape the corresponding amorphous material. Keep repeating the previous steps until you get the Descendant blueprint that you need from the Void Reactor. Doing some quick math, this entire method would take roughly 10 minutes or less to get one amorphous material, then another 10 minutes to farm the Void Shards and complete the Void Reactor missions, so we're looking at around 20 minutes per attempt at getting a Descendant blueprint. If we are doing this with amorphous materials that have a 32% or 38% drop chance for the blueprint we need, then it should be faster than any other method unless you have very bad RNG. Let's do a quick recap of all the steps we need to go through in order to unlock a Descendant by using this method from start to finish. Step 1. Decide what Descendant you want to unlock. Step 2. Go to the Access Info tab and select the Descendant menu. Step 3. Find the Descendant you want and select it from the list in order to see the materials required. Step 4. Choose one of the 3 blueprints or the Descendant code you want to start with and select Acquisition Info. Step 5. Look through the list of locations and look for ones that are related to Void Fusion Reactors, prioritizing normal difficulty ones. Step 6. Select any of these locations to see what amorphous material you need to get in order to reshape it at a Void Reactor. Write down or keep in mind the amorphous material number. Step 7. Back out of this screen to the Access Info screen and select Amorphous Material, then search for the one that you need to farm and highlight it. Look through the drop chance and check if your Descendant blueprint or code has a high drop chance from it, ideally more than 30%. If it doesn't, go back to the previous step. If it does, continue to the next step. Step 8. Once you found an amorphous material that has a good drop chance for your blueprint or code, select the location it can be found in the list of locations from the Access Info menu. You will now be pointed to the specific Strategic Outpost mission on the map where you can farm this amorphous material. Make sure to check the mission rewards list to see if your amorphous material can be obtained through regular completion of the mission, through infiltration only, or through both methods. Step 9. If you have Sharen, switch to her in order to maximize your chances of getting the amorphous material to drop. If the material can only be looted by infiltrating the mission and you don't have Sharen, either get a friend to help you out or just go Unlock Sharen because it's very simple and fast. Step 10. Complete the Strategic Outpost mission until you get the amorphous material that you need. Remember to use the method for skipping the timer by teleporting to a different zone on the same map and then teleporting back to the zone where the Strategic Outpost is in. Step 11. After you've obtained the amorphous material, press Options, go to the Consumable tab, select amorphous material on the left side and find the material you need to open. Locate the tooltip and press the linked Reconstructed Device Info button. This will show you what Void Fusion Reactor you need to activate in order to reshape this material. Step 12. Open the map and find the Void Fusion Reactor from the previous step, then highlight it and locate the tooltip to see what Void Shards it requires to be activated. Step 13. Find the Void Fragments that you need to complete in order to get the necessary Void Shards to activate the reactor and farm them repeatedly until you get enough Void Shards of both types. Step 14. Go to the Void Fusion Reactor, activate it, defeat the boss, then use the reshaping device it spawns to reshape your amorphous material. Repeat these steps until you get all the blueprints that you need in order to research and unlock any Descendant you want. Now, besides getting the blueprints for the 3 materials and the Descendant code, you will also need to farm some standard and rare materials for each of the 3 intermediate products that require blueprints. If you highlight any standard material and press Acquisition Info, you will see that all of them can be obtained either from resource boxes or munition boxes all around the map. Resource boxes are these small orange boxes that are scattered around any zone in any area, which you need to destroy in order to loot what's inside. Munition boxes are these barrel looking objects that have to be opened in order to get what's inside. Munition boxes can be revealed by your scanner and are represented by these white diamonds that are displayed on the screen every time you scan. Resource boxes, however, are not revealed by the scanner. In order to farm standard materials this way, just spawn in the zone where the material you need is located in and roam around searching for the resource and munition boxes. Now, rare materials are an entirely different story. This can be usually obtained in two ways, either as drops from mission monsters in certain missions or from encrypted vaults. The first category, which can be obtained from mission monsters, is easy to farm as all you have to do is select any of the missions from the location list and complete it repeatedly until you get enough materials. Keep in mind that when the acquisition info says an item can be obtained from a mission monster, it is referring to the elite enemy that spawns in that missions, usually at the end of it. Now, the second category, which can be obtained from encrypted vaults and mission monsters, are much harder to farm because they drop in higher numbers from encrypted vaults and small numbers from mission monsters. So the best way to farm them is still encrypted vaults, and vaults can sometimes be a bit difficult to find and even more difficult to open depending on the type of encrypted vault. There are three types of encrypted vaults: regular, precise and ultra precise. All of these vaults are basically quick time events that you need to complete in a certain amount of time in order to open them and get the reward. Some of them can only be opened by Enzo, and he also happens to make the quick time events much easier and gives you more time to complete them. Without Enzo, some of them are almost impossible to open, and if you fail them, you lose the key that you used to open them. Speaking of these keys, they are of 6 types, 3 for normal difficulty vaults and 3 for hard difficulty vaults. For normal difficulty vaults, you need code analyzers, which can be obtained from any monster in any mission on normal difficulty. These come in 3 subcategories: normal, precise and ultra precise, each corresponding to a type of vault. For hard difficulty vaults, you need code breakers, which can be obtained from any monster in any mission on hard difficulty. These come in 3 subcategories: normal, precise and ultra precise, each corresponding to a type of vault. The difference in difficulty between vaults is that you get more rewards from hard difficulty vaults, but they are also harder to complete, which is another reason to unlock Enzo early before unlocking other characters. After obtaining a couple of keys for the type of vaults you want to open, either hard or normal difficulty ones, you need to go search for them and open them. In order to actually find encrypted vaults, follow these simple steps. Make sure you have your headphones on with the sound turned up high. Switch your map to private and teleport to the zone where the vaults that contain the rare material you need are located in. Look at a random part of the map horizontally and use your scanner. Listen for a loud ping sound or a faint ping sound. If you hear a loud ping sound, that means you are facing the location of a vault. If you hear a faint ping sound, it means you are close to facing the location of a vault. If you hear no sound, it means you're not facing even remotely close to a vault, so you have to turn your camera around and face another way. Do not confuse the ping sounds with the sound of your scanner being triggered. Keep scanning repeatedly and follow the ping sound while keeping an eye out for vaults, since they can sometimes be hidden really well behind terrain or objects. Once you find a vault, just open it and complete the quick time event, after which you will get your reward. This can also be done in a party, which makes it much easier and everyone gets the reward, so you can combine keys with other players and open more vaults together. We have now covered all the best and fastest methods to obtain all the materials needed to research almost any Descendant. There are a few Descendant parts for more recent Descendants like Esimo, Eugene and Kyle, which can only be obtained from completing hard difficulty void intercepts, so those are not covered by this guide. Personally, I have been using this method for about a week and I have already unlocked Valby, Glay and Enzo without even playing too much, and I did almost all of it while playing solo. That would be it for this video. Let me know down in the comments if this method helps and if you'd like to see any other type of content for the first Descendant. I am still working on farming materials to max out my Descendants, which will take some time, but after that I will also be posting build videos and other stuff. Thanks for watching and I'll catch you in the next one.